Okay, so there too, Panch Costello roared out mainly a Tian Shan song, but he loudly bid them, lo, wisdom hath built herself a house. This vast, majestic, long-established vault, the crystal palace of the Creator, all in apple pie order, a penny for him who finds the pea. So this part of the chapter is when we start, as I said last time, the Renaissance, yes, and all the magnificence of man's capacity, no, this idea. And when they talk about the Crystal Palace, this is of course a reference to the Crystal Palace in London, where when they showed all the inventions that men had created, yes, showing the importance of man's mind. And so the Crystal Palace of the Creator, although it is in capital letters, refers not to God, because we are changing the idea, but to man. All in man. Claro, because the idea is that now, remember that Joyce is changing the styles in the chapter, and he goes from the very beginnings. We passed through Middle Ages and everyman, and now we are in the Renaissance. No, this idea that man is powerful. A penny for him who finds the pea. And then again, the story, you remember we talked about this the other day, this kind of song that repeats itself all the time, like the one we have in Spanish, no? The mansion or the house that Jack built, similar to our, I don't remember now, I told you last time and now I don't remember.
Yes. What was it?
Espera, ¿cómo es? Que te dicen algo y vos tenés y te repiten lo mismo. ¿Dónde está? ¿Quién te dijo dónde está tal cosa? ¿Cómo era el cuento que
el estribillo, el estribillo.
El cuento de la buena pipa. El cuento de la buena pipa, ¿sí? Que uno dice, ¿cómo es el cuento de la buena pipa? Y el otro dice,
sí,
no te dije, no sé, te dije el cuento, bueno. And this
si querés que te cuente el cuento de la buena pipa.
Exactly. And this is the same, but the repetition is the house, the mansion that Jack built. So here the song or the poem is repeated. Behold the mansion reared by Dedal Jack. See them all stored in many a refluent sack in the proud cirque of Jackson's bivouac. So why is this poem, this recurrent poem here? Because this is the idea. We are going back in all the chapter to all the episodes that happened before, during all this day, the long day that we are experiencing together with Mr. Bloom, no? All these men are together, they are still there at the hospital, they are talking, they are drunk. Remember this, it is very important because of what we are going to read later. A black crack of noise in the street here, a lark bawled back. Loud on left, Thor thundered. So, in other words, a storm broke out. There is a storm. In anger, awful, the hammer hurler. Came now the storm that hissed his heart. So this is a storm outside the hospital, of course, but it is presented as if it were, you know, a cataclysm. Something, yes, the gods created this storm. And Master Lynch bade him have a care to flout, and Witwanton, as the god's self, was angered for his hell-prayed paganry. So according to Lynch, this storm is an answer that God sent Stephen because he has been so pagan, so insulting of the Christian faith, all the horrible things he has said about Christ, the Virgin, etc. And he that had heard challenged to be so dirty waxed one, as they might all mark and shrank together, and his speech that was before so hot uplift was now of a sudden quite plucked down. So all these, let's say, pride that he has shown, insulting Christ and the Virgin and God, all that is diminished now, has shrunk. And now, of a sudden, it has been quite plucked down, and his heart shook within the cage of his breast as he tasted the rumor of that storm, because Stephen is afraid of storms. So he has been so courageous, so brave, but now, now he's afraid. Then did some mock and some jeer, and Punch Costello fell hard again to his yell, which Master Lenehan vowed he would do after, and he was indeed but a word and a blow on any the least color. But the braggart boaster cried that an old nobody was in his cups. So the braggart, el fanfarrón, yes, the braggart boaster cried that an old nobody, look at this invention. Instead of saying nobody, it is a nobody, because they are of course talking about God, as is God is nobody, right? Was in his cups, it was much more indifferent. No, so in fact, for him, God was indifferent to what is happening on earth, and he would not lag behind his lead. But this was only to die his desperation. So Stephen's answer is, God is not interested in what I say, but at the same time, he is really afraid. And he said this not to show his desperation. As cowed, he crouched in Horn's hall. He drank indeed at one draught to pluck up a heart of any grace, for it thundered long rumblingly all over all the heavens, so that Master Madden, being godly certain whiles, knocked him on his ribs upon that crack of doom, and Master Bloom at the braggart's side, so who is sitting by Stephen? Mr. Bloom, spoke to him calming words. So everybody realizes that Stephen is afraid, no? So Stephen says, no, this is, I mean, God is not interested in what I said, but he is afraid, and he drinks again, showing that he's afraid. And the one who tries to calm him down is Mr. Bloom. So he uses calming words to slumber his great fear, advertising how it was no other thing but a hubbub noise that he heard, the discharge of fluid from the thunderhead, look you, having taken place, and all of the order of a natural phenomena. So Mr. Bloom, we know that Bloom is interested in physics, and he's interested in science. So he explains to Stephen that the noises that he hears and he's so much afraid of is only a natural phenomenon. But was young Bouthard's fear vanquished by Calmer's words? This is one of the characteristics of the language of this time. I sent you the information last week, I think, to instead of using the names of the characters, they use kind of metaphorical names. Bouthard is Stephen, because he is un mandaparte. And Calmer is Mr. Bloom, because he is trying to calm Stephen down. But was young Bouthard's fear vanquished by Calmer's words? No, for he had in his bosom a spike named bitterness, which could not by words be done away. So you see, typical of the style, yes, using these emotions, no, like bitterness as a name. Amargura es un personaje. And was he then neither calm like the one nor godly like the other? So, like Milton in Paradise Lost, yes? You remember we read some parts of Paradise Lost, where the emotions, yes, or the feelings or abstract ideas are transformed into characters, like here bitterness, yes? So he has a spike in his soul called bitterness. And was he then neither calm like the one, nor godly like the other? He was neither, as much as he would have liked to be either. So a very twisted way of saying he was neither calm like Mr. Bloom, but he is not godly like Boshart, like Stephen. He was neither, as much as he would have liked to be either. Muy complicado. No era ni una cosa ni la otra, pero tampoco ni siquiera lo que le hubiera gustado ser. But sí, es muy complicado. But could he not have endeavored to have found again, as in his youth, the bottled holiness that then he lived withal? Another idea, holiness, yes, santidad. Why? Because in his youth, we must remember that Stephen went to the school.
Why in capital letters, bitterness, holiness?
Bueno, because this is a characteristic from Milton's style.
Ah.
Yes? Yo qué sé, love, anguish, etc. are transformed in kind of moral characters.
Ah, okay.
So Stephen, when he went to school, he had been in a way rather convinced by the priests. You remember that the priests offered him to become one, to become a priest, yes. But now he's the opposite. So he would have liked to find, yes, this holiness that he had in his youth. But now he had lived without, yes. Indeed, no, for grace, again capitalized, grace was not there to find that bottle. You see how grace, la gracia, está hecho un personaje. Grace was not there to find that bottle. He doesn't have the grace to find holiness. Okay? Heard he
to
then.
Find that bottle. Heard he then is different here.
Sorry,
no.
Heard he then. Claro, look at the alteration of the normal order. The normal order would have been then he heard, no? But this is another Miltonic characteristic, the change of the order of the normal order in the sentence. Heard he then in that clap the voice of the god bring forth, or what Calmer said, a hubbub of phenomenon. So you see, the question is he hearing the voice of God? God here is named bring forth. See, you understand bring forth? The idea, lo que trae, ¿no? El que trae, el que produce.
Created everything.
Es el creador, claro. So the question is, does Stephen hear in the thunder the voice of God, or only a natural phenomenon? So, heard. Why? He could not but hear unless he had plucked him up the tube understanding, which he had not done. So, the question is again, is he hearing the voice of God, answering him because he has been such you know, so offensive, or is this simply a natural phenomenon? Well, he doesn't know. For through that tube, he saw that he was in the land of phenomenon, where he must, for a certain one day, die, as he was like the rest too, a passing show. And here we have a connection with our Shakespeare, no? You remember that when Macbeth says that we are only a passing shadow. Yes? Okay, and here a certain one day dies, so he is in the land of phenomenon. The land of phenomenon is the natural life. So we are all in this natural life, and one day we should die because, like the rest of us, we are all a passing show, a passing shadow. And would he not accept to die like the rest and pass away? By no means would he, though he must, nor would he make more shows according as men do with wives, which phenomenon has commanded them to do by the book law. So this sentence is extremely complex. This is very Miltonic. So the question is if Stephen accepts that he will die, like the rest of the human beings.
Of the mortals.
Yeah. And the answer is, by no means would he. So he would not accept that he will die. Though he must. So he doesn't accept it, though he must, of course, we must. Nor would he make more shows. So he shouldn't make more shows. He shouldn't go on showing off. And I remember that he's called a braggart, un mandaparte, according as men do with wives, which phenomenon has commanded them. Who is phenomenon? Nature. Nature has ordered women to do by the book law. What has God commanded women that we have been reading before? To yes, procreation, to have children. So all this discussion that they had before about having the children, about the birth, about women having to suffer to bring children to the world, about whose life is more important, the life of the mother or the life of the baby. All this discussion is in a way summarized here in this natural phenomenon. We must all, we are all born from a woman. Wise women obey the phenomenon, obey nature, and we must accept that we will all die. So this is part of the normal circle.
But the law is birth, nacer, crecer, reproducirse y morir.
Exactly, that is the law. Up to now, all these medical students have been discussing law, have been discussing God, no, in a way. Then, well, that is why when they finished this discussion and they made fun of women and they made fun of having sex and all that, the storm strikes. And that is why Stephen feels that this storm is an answer to his, let's say, to his ideas, to all the things he said. Claro, he has been, yes, he has been blasphemous against God, the Virgin, bueno, a todos.
Yes.
Women, because he has said horrible things about women and going to bed, etc., etc. So the storm is an answer sent by God or by nature. And the question is, who by, no? Then what did he not of that other land, which is called believe on me? So again, what did he not? Of course, this is an invention, no? But the idea is that what if there is another land called believe on me? Which is this other land, believe on me? Paradise, life after death. That land is believe on me. That is the land of promise, which behoves to the king delightful, and shall be forever, where there is no death and no birth, neither wiving nor mothering, at which all shall come, as many as believe on it. So, does this exist? So the questions are very serious questions that Stephen is asking himself, no? Yes, Pius had told him of that land, Pius. La Piedad, el Piadoso, yes, again, this character, who is in fact a moral character that doesn't exist, had told him of that land, and Chaste had pointed him to the way. So what is the way to get there, to this land, this paradise? To be chaste.
To be chaste.
To be chaste. And that is precisely what Stephen is not, yes? Stephen and all the other young men there, not to be chaste. Castos. But the reason was that in the way he fell in with a certain whore of a nice, pleasing exterior, whose name, she said, is bird in the hand. So this part is funny because he hasn't been chased because he has been with a prostitute, a whore, and the name is bird in the hand, pájaro en mano. El nombre de la prostituta, pájaro en mano. And she beguiled him wrong ways from the true path by her flatteries, that she said to him as, "Oh, you pretty man, turn aside hither and I will show you a brave place." This is what the prostitute told him, no? "Oh, pretty man,
Told him, okay.
turn aside hither and I will show you a brave place." And she lay at him so flatteringly that she had him in her grot, which is named Two in the Bush. A ver, grot, what is I didn't send you the meaning, yes, of grot, but grot is the pubic.
Yes.
Entonces,
Sorry, what's grot?
grot is the pubic part.
Ah, the cubic part. Okay.
So, she had him in her grot. O sea, ya estaban haciendo sexo, ¿sí? She had him in her grot. ¿Y cómo se llama her grot? Two in the bush.
Two in the bush. Bird in hand.
No, es terrible. Two in the bush, you understand bush, arbusto.
Yes, bush.
Or,
Yes.
by some learning, carnal concupiscence.
Concupiscence.
So this is very funny because using this idea of calling, capitalizing emotions or feelings, yes, or abstract concepts, Joyce is using them for parts of the body, for the name of the prostitute, no? So the name of the prostitute is very funny, bird in the hand. She preferred to have this boy, bird in the hand, than waiting for others that perhaps never appear. Claro. And when they are having sex, the name is Two in the Bush, or carnal concupiscence. Wow. So that is why Stephen is not chaste, no? And so he cannot go to paradise. This was it what all that company that sat there at Commons in Months of Mothers is the same name of the hospital, right? The most lasted after, and if they met with this whore, bird in the hand, which was within all foul plagues, monsters, and a wicked devil, they would strain the last, but they would make at her and know her. Here the word know is used in the biblical sense. Conocer en el sentido bíblico, ¿sí? Que es tener sexo, ¿sí? So, all of them, all these medical students would have had sex with the prostitute, bird in the hand, no? For regarding believe on me, remember that believe on me is paradise. They said it was not else but notion. And they could conceive no thought of it, for first, Two in the Bush, whither she tied them, was the very godliest grot. And in it were 4 pillows, on which were 4 tickets, with these words printed on them. A ver. So the students say that they prefer to be with a prostitute than going to heaven. No? Why? Because they prefer Two in the Bush. Now remember that Two in the Bush is the prostitute's genitals. Whither, where she ties them, she catches them with the very goodliest grot, and in it were 4 pillows, on which were 4 tickets, with these words printed on them: pick-a-back and topsy-turvy at shame-face and cheek by jowl. So, all these funny names, right? Pick-a-back, topsy-turvy, see, are the ways, let's say, in which they can have sex with her. Yes? the different positions, we can say. And shamefaced and cheek by jowl, see, they are not, I mean, ashamed of what they are doing, because this prostitute was ready for everything. And second, for that foul plague, allpox. And what is this? This is the venereal diseases. Yes.
Yes.
And the monsters, they care not for them, for preservative have given them a stout shield of Oxengat. So they can they can have all the things that the prostitute gives them, because they are using a preservative. Look at this. At this time, the word was not used. This is an invention that Joyce used, but now we use the word, no? So it is funny. Un preservativo decimos ahora. I had given them a stout shield of Oxengat. Oxengat es el material con el que se hacían los preservativos. ¿Sí?
La tripa.
La tripa del... Y oxen es el... tiene que ver con...
We saw in the chapter.
Exacto, ¿sí? Entonces, the shield, ¿no? The protection is made by Oxengat. And third, that they might take no hurt, neither from offspring, no? Because if they wear the preservative, they are not going to get the venereal disease, and they are not going to produce children, offspring. That was that wicked devil, by virtue of this same shield, which was named Kill Child. So, remember that Kill Child, abortion. So they would not have to get to that point, the abortion, because they would go to the prostitute, but they would wear the preservative. So, were they all in there? Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Well, I had two, but I forgot one. Where before, where it said, and would he not accept to die like the rest and pass away?
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
always mentioning Stephen as he.
Yes.
And who is the narrator? Because I watched just one video of the ones you sent last week, and I missed the second one. So I suppose there was a kind of change of narrator, or maybe it was the same.
No, in this chapter, we have a kind of omniscient narrator.
Omniscient.
It's telling us what is happening in the hospital, yes, from a third point of view. And that is why he is Stephen now, because the one who is afraid of the storm is Stephen. And the one
but anyway, we are in his mind through through this narrator.
No, claro, yes, we are not having his mind. Remember that Joyce is using all the, let's say, the old styles. He started with the first Anglo-Saxon styles, and then he moves, and we are now in the kind of Renaissance time. And so there is no, let's say, a stream of consciousness.
Yes.
Right? This is a narrator that is telling us what is happening.
Okay, yes.
But this narrator also appeared several chapters before, isn't it?
Yes, yes, during all the chapter.
The omnipresent narrator, that's it?
Yes, yes. All the chapter has been told from this point of view up to now.
Yes.
That's why we
But this is not one narrator, because
no,
there are
claro.
different points of view. There are different narrators. It's not the typical omniscient narrator.
No, not the typical one, because
No.
when you read the stories, the medieval stories that we read before, or Everyman, etc., in Everyman it's the first person narrator. Yes, Everyman. We are all Everyman. But now it is as in Milton. Yes, somebody that tells us the story. Yes. So
I remember the other question.
Okay.
That although Stephen is blasphemous, he still believes in God.
Well, that is why he's afraid of the storm.
That's why, when you
Yes.
mentioned that, I said he's blasphemous, but he's not an atheist, and he's afraid. Of
I
God.
mean,
He
in a
doesn't
way,
care.
he wants to be an atheist because all the things he said before against Christ and the Virgin, etc.
Yes,
we are-
Joseph, and
yes.
yes,
But if he's afraid, it's because he is afraid
yes,
of
he has fear of God. Yes,
fear of God. Fear. Now
Mhm.
he names God in different. Believe in me, or something like that. Well,
yes.
paradise, no, but
Yes.
all the same, he's afraid. We have less than 1 minute, so we meet again at 4:45, okay? So,
Yes,
4:45.
mhm. There was another question, no?
No, just that.
So,
Thank you.
So were they all in their blind fancy? So they are all, this is a fancy, the question of the prostitute, no? Mr. Cavill and Mr. Sometimes Godly. So all the students are named according to their, let's say, characteristic. Mr. Cavill, Mr. Sometimes Godly, Mr. Abe Swiley, Mr. False Franklin, Mr. Dainty Dixon, Young Boshart. Remember that Boshart, el mandaparte, es